There are things in life that echo across the flatlands like a distant thunder. Things you wish you could pull back from the wind once they've been spoken. I'm 76 years old now, sitting on the porch of this old farmhouse in Iowa, watching the corn sway under a sky that's bigger than any man's regrets. I've spent my life tilling the soil, fighting droughts and floods, building a legacy from the dirt up. But looking back, it's not the weather that broke me the most. It's the words I let slip, the truths I shared too freely. They scattered like seeds in a storm, taking root in places they shouldn't, choking out the good in my relationships, my family, my peace. We live in a heartland where folks pride themselves on honesty, on speaking plain and true. But I've learned the hard way that not every truth needs airing. In this world of family farms passed down through generations, of small-town diners where everyone knows your name, words carry weight like a loaded grain truck. One careless sentence can tip the scales, ruin harvests of trust you've nurtured for decades. I've made mistakes, terrible ones, and they all started the same. I opened my mouth when silence would have sufficed. You think your kin are your safe harbor. You figure they've got your back through thick and thin, like during the farm crisis of the 80s when we all banded together. So you share, you reveal, you lay it bare, and then it circles back, sharp as a sickle. Sometimes they mean to wound you, sometimes it's just human nature, fear or envy bubbling up, but the hurt lands the same. As we age, wisdom isn't just knowing the almanac, it's survival. And the wisest lesson I've gleaned from these furrowed fields is this: some things should never cross your lips, not to blood, not to neighbors, not to anyone. Today, I want to pass on 5 family truths you must keep locked away. These are the secrets that once voiced can't be unsaid. They fester, they divide, they destroy what you've built. Speaking your heart isn't always courage. Sometimes it's plain folly. The wrong words don't just sting others, they erode your own foundation. If this strikes a chord in your soul, nod along. I'm Elias Hawthorne, voice of the Heartland Whispers. Let's dig in.
Secret number 1, your inheritance plans. Never lay out who gets what after you're gone. Just handle it quietly with a lawyer, then let the will speak when the time comes. Let me take you back to when I was 38, knee-deep in the rhythms of the farm. It was 1987, and the economy was squeezing us like a vice. Farms foreclosing left and right, families splintering under the pressure. I'd inherited this land from my pa, 400 acres of prime Iowa black soil, and I'd added to it over the years, scraping by, investing in better equipment, even buying out a neighbor's plot during the lean times. My wife Martha and I had 3 kids: Jacob, the eldest, steady as a plow; Sarah, sharp-minded and ambitious; and little Tommy, still in high school, full of fire and dreams of leaving for the city. One evening, after a long day baling hay, we sat around the kitchen table. The kids were home for the weekend, and the talk turned to the future. The farm crisis had everyone on edge, neighbors losing everything overnight. I felt a surge of protectiveness, wanted them to know I'd thought it through. So I spilled it. "Listen here," I said, wiping sweat from my brow. "When Martha and I are gone, this land's yours. Jacob, you'll get the main homestead and half the acreage. You've got the farming blood. Sarah, the eastern fields for you to develop or sell if you want, since you're the thinker. Tommy, the equipment and the western plot, something to build on wherever life takes you. And we'll set aside funds for grandkids' education." I thought it'd bring us closer, show them I cared. But oh, how wrong I was. Jacob nodded, but his eyes narrowed. Just a flicker, but I caught it. Sarah crossed her arms, her city education making her question everything. "Why split it uneven? What if I want a farm too?" she asked, voice tight. Tommy, the hothead, slammed his fork down. So Jacob gets the heart of it? That's fair? The air thickened like humidity before a tornado. That night set off a chain. Whispers started. Jacob pulled away, working longer hours alone, resentment building because he figured the others were jealous. Sarah called less, her visits laced with pointed questions about fairness, hinting at lawyers. Tommy outright rebelled, dropping out of community college and taking off to Des Moines for a factory job, blaming me for pitting them against each other. Martha tried to mediate, but the damage was sown. Family dinners turned into battlegrounds, old grudges unearthed like buried fence posts.
Years rolled on, and it festered. When Martha passed from cancer in 2005, the kids circled like vultures. Jacob demanded appraisals, Sarah pushed for equal shares. Tommy showed up with a chip on his shoulder, claiming I'd favored the others all along. We ended up in mediation, lawyers eating into what I'd built. The farm stayed intact, but the bonds fractured. Jacob runs it now, but Sarah sold her portion quick, and Tommy hasn't set foot here in a decade. I drive these back roads, past fields that were once united, and think, that could have been whole. If I'd kept my plans under my hat, let the will surprise them, maybe envy wouldn't have taken root. Here's the psychology of it, from what I've read in those farm journals. When you announce inheritance, it shifts dynamics. Kids start seeing you as a countdown clock, measuring their worth against siblings. Entitlement creeps in. They spend hypothetically, borrow against futures that aren't set. And in America's heartland, where land is legacy, it breeds division faster than weeds in wet soil. People project their insecurities. The one who stayed feels entitled, the wanderer resentful. So, what do? Keep it vague. When kin probe about after you're gone, smile and say, it'll all work out fair. Change the subject to the weather or the Hawkeyes game. Work with an estate planner in silence. Update as needed. When the time comes, the document speaks. Clean. No room for preemptive fights. Silence here isn't deceit, it's preservation. Your plans are your power. Guard them. Secret number 2. Your political views in mixed company. Never dive into the red-blue divide at the family table. Keep your ballot private, your opinions measured. This one hits close, folks. Back in 1992, I was 45. The farm stabilizing after the crisis. Clinton versus Bush, the airwaves buzzing with change. I'd always leaned conservative, grew up with Reagan's farm policies saving our hides, but the 80s had me questioning. High interest rates, trade wars. I started reading up, shifting a bit left on some issues like healthcare for rural folks. But in Iowa, politics is personal. Caucuses in living rooms, signs in yards. Thanksgiving that year, the whole clan gathered. My siblings, cousins, in-laws from both sides. The turkey was carved, pies cooling, when talk turned to the election. My brother Earl, a die-hard Republican, gripped about liberal handouts. I couldn't bite my tongue. Earl, maybe some regulation ain't bad, I said. Look at the banks. They nearly killed us farmers. And healthcare? We need something for folks without big insurance. I laid it out, my views on subsidies, gun control tweaks, even abortion rights in tough cases. Thought it'd spark healthy debate, like in the old days. Instead, it ignited a firestorm. Earl turned red as a John Deere, accusing me of going soft, betraying our roots. My sister-in-law, a teacher, jumped in defending, but then my cousin from the city piled on, calling rural folks backward. The table split, shouts over mashed potatoes, kids wide-eyed. Martha kicked me under the table, but too late. By dessert, half the family stormed out. Earl didn't speak to me for months. Holiday cards stopped. Even worse, it rippled outward. Word spread at the co-op, church potlucks. Folks I'd known forever gave me side-eye, whispering, Elias gone liberal. Business suffered.
Neighbors chose other suppliers for seed, citing differences. That divide lingered. Come 2000, Bush-Gore mess, family gatherings were tense affairs, topics skirted like potholes. By Obama's era, it was worse. Facebook posts from kin unfriending each other, Thanksgivings canceled. My own kids picked sides, Jacob echoing Earl, Sarah leaning my way, Tommy apathetic but bitter. We lost the glue that held us, shared meals without judgment. Now, in this polarized America, where every election feels like civil war, I've seen families shatter over a single vote revealed. Why does it happen? Politics taps into core identities, values from church, work, history. In mixed company, especially family, it's like throwing gasoline on embers. People feel attacked personally. Debates turn to character assassinations. And in the USA, with media echo chambers, once you voice it, you're labeled lib, con, traitor to your class. Resentment builds, holidays poisoned. Here's the fix. Stay neutral in groups. When politics bubbles up, deflect. Ain't that something? Pass the gravy. Vote your conscience privately. If pressed, say, I keep my ballot to myself, keeps the peace. Discuss one-on-one with like minds if you must, but never broadcast. In the Heartland, where community is king, silence on politics preserves bonds. It's not cowardice, it's strategy for survival. Secret number 3, your health scares. Don't broadcast every ache, diagnosis, or close call. It turns you into the family pity case, inviting avoidance or overreach. Helen from the original tale reminds me of my own brush. I was 52 in 2001, post 9/11 world feeling fragile. I'd been feeling off, chest pains after long days, shortness of breath climbing silos. Doc said it was a mild heart episode, nothing major, but monitor it. Stents, meds, lifestyle changes. I was scared, first time facing mortality head on.
At a family reunion that summer by the lake in Clear Lake, I let it out. Gathered around the grill, burgers sizzling. I said, folks, had a spare, heart acting up. Doc fixed it, but it's a wake-up. I detailed the symptoms, the ER visit, the fears. Thought it'd bond us, remind everyone to cherish time. But reactions varied. My sister fussed endlessly, calling daily with remedies, turning visits into interrogations. Did you take your pills? Eat right? It smothered. Jacob worried silently, taking on more farm work unasked, like I was frail. Sarah researched obsessively, sending articles that terrified more than helped. Tommy distanced, visits rarer, later admitting he couldn't handle Dad falling apart. Cousins pitied, conversations shifting to my health, not stories or laughs. I became the one with the heart thing, defined by weakness. Over years, it isolated. Invites dwindled, folks feared I'd keel over at events. Church friends offered prayers, but kept distance, like illness was contagious. When another scare hit in 2015, bypass surgery, I kept it quieter, told only Martha and the kids minimally. Recovery was lonelier, but cleaner. No pity parades. In America, especially rural areas with limited health care, health talk burdens. Everyone's got issues. Arthritis from field work, diabetes from hearty meals. Sharing yours reminds them of theirs or sparks fear. They pull away to avoid the weight or hover, stripping dignity. So, handle it wisely. Share with docs, spouse, maybe a close confidant for support. But to the broader family, vague it. Doing fine, just the usual. Focus on positivity. Share wins, not woes. People admire resilience, not reminders of fragility. Your health is your battle. Don't make it theirs. Secret number 4, your youthful rebellions. Those wild days, protests, mistakes from the past, keep them buried. They haunt reputations long after.
This takes me to 1969. I was 20, Vietnam raging.
Draft loomed. I dodged by farming deferment, but joined protests anyway. Marched in Des Moines, chanted against the war, even burned a flag once in youthful fury. Smoked some pot, ran with a crowd questioning everything, authority, tradition. It was the era, Woodstock vibes trickling to the Midwest. Decades later, in 2010, at 63, grandkids curious about history. At a family barbecue, they asked about the 60s. I opened up, the marches, the anger, the experiments. Thought it'd educate, show Grandpa wasn't always square. Big mistake. Older kin, uncles who'd served, bristled, calling it disloyal. You protested while we fought, one snapped. Kids' views shifted. Jacob, patriotic, distanced, worried about my influence on his boys. Sarah defended, but it sparked arguments. Word spread to town. At the VFW, I got cold shoulders. Even in 2020's America, with divided politics, those stories label you radical, un-American. Past rebellions, especially Vietnam era, carry stigma in conservative pockets. People judge by today's lens, forgetting context. Once out, it's ammunition for grudges. Keep it locked. Share sanitized versions if needed. Tough times, but we got through. Learn from it privately. Your youth is yours. Don't let it define your elder years.
The thing about those youthful rebellions is that time doesn't erase them in folks' minds. They sit there like old fence posts rusted into the ground, ugly reminders that people trip over years later. I learned to regret ever digging mine up. If I'd left those stories buried in the 60s where they belonged, my name wouldn't have carried that faint shadow at the Legion Hall or the grain elevator. People don't forget the past, they just file it away for later use. So here's what I do now. When the grandkids ask about the old days, I talk about the music on the radio, the muscle cars, the county fairs. I skip the parts that could be weaponized. Your youth shaped you, but it doesn't have to define how the world sees the man or woman you became. Keep the wild parts private. Let them stay between you and whatever higher power you answer to. Secret number 5, neighbors' scandals. In a small town or tight rural community, never repeat what you've heard about someone else's troubles. Take it to your grave, because gossip here spreads faster than prairie fire, and once you're the one who carried it, you're marked forever. This last one cuts the deepest because it cost me the best friend I ever had. His name was Heartland Decker. We grew up 2 miles apart, went to the same one-room schoolhouse until 8th grade, enlisted the same year, though he went to Korea and I stayed stateside with a bum knee. After the war, we farmed side by side, helped each other with harvest, shared equipment, stood up at each other's weddings. Harlan was steady as bedrock. If your tractor broke down at midnight, he'd be there with tools and coffee before you finished the phone call. In the spring of 1998, Harlan came over one evening after chores. Martha had already turned in, so it was just the two of us on the porch, watching heat lightning flicker over the fields. He was quieter than usual, nursing a beer longer than normal. Finally, he said, "Elias, I need to tell somebody or I'm gonna bust." And then it came out. Harlan had been carrying on with a woman from over by Ames for nearly 2 years. Not some wild fling, something deep and painful. His marriage to Ruth had gone cold decades earlier. They slept in separate rooms, spoke only about bills and grandkids. This other woman made him feel alive again. But now she was pregnant and she wanted him to leave Ruth. Harlan was torn clean in half. Loyalty to a wife who'd stood by him through bankruptcies and blizzards versus a chance at something that felt like love for the first time in 30 years.
He swore me to silence. "Not even Martha," he said, eyes pleading. "Ruth finds out this way, it'll kill her. I need time to figure the right path." I promised. We shook on it like we did when we were 10 years old over a stolen watermelon. For weeks, I carried that secret like a stone in my chest. It affected everything. How I looked at Ruth when she brought over rhubarb pie, how I nodded at Harlan across the aisle at church. Then one night in July, Martha and I were lying awake during a thunderstorm. She could tell something was eating me. "You're tossing worse than a calf in a hailstorm," she said. "What's wrong?" I told myself it was different, telling my wife. We'd been married 40 years. We shared everything. Surely she'd understand the weight of it. So I told her. Every detail. I made her swear not to breathe a word. 3 days later, Ruth Decker showed up at our door in tears, clutching a casserole like a shield. "Is it true?" she asked Martha before I even reached the kitchen. Martha denied it at first, but Ruth pressed. "People are saying things at the beauty shop." By evening, half the township knew. Someone at the beauty shop had told someone at the co-op who told someone at the fireman's pancake breakfast. By the end of the week, it was everywhere. Harlan figured it out quick. He drove over one morning before dawn, face like carved granite, parked his truck, walked up the porch steps, and looked at me with eyes I'd never seen before. Dead, disappointed, done. "You were the only one I told, Elias." I tried to explain. Told him about Martha asking, about thinking marriage made it safe, about how sorry I was, but words were useless by then. He just shook his head. "I trusted you with the worst thing I've ever done, and you couldn't hold it 21 days. He turned, climbed back in his truck, and drove away. That was the last conversation we ever had. The fallout was brutal. Harlan moved the woman to Minnesota, left the farm to his son, and divorced Ruth quietly. Ruth stayed in town but became a ghost, barely left her house, died 5 years later of what the doctor called heart failure, and everyone else knew was a broken heart. Their kids blamed Harlan, blamed the woman, and somehow blamed me too for letting the spark escape. Invites to Decker family events stopped coming. People I'd barbecued with for decades nodded politely but kept their distance. In a rural community, trust is currency, and I'd spent mine all at once. I drove past Harlan's old place for years, watching his son farm it without the same care. Every time I felt that stone settle heavier. Harlan passed in 2018. I went to the funeral in Minnesota, sat in the back. His new wife was there, their teenage daughter too, a girl with Harlan's eyes. None of them knew who I was, and I didn't introduce myself. I just paid respects from a distance and drove home crying like a child. That's what gossip does in places like this. It doesn't just wound the person it's about, it ricochets through generations. And the carrier, you're tainted forever. People think, if he'll share Harlan's secret, he'll share mine. Doors close quietly. Help during harvest thins out. You're still invited to the fish fry, but the conversations shift when you walk up. So, here's the rule I live by now. If someone trusts you with their darkness, you carry it alone. Not to your spouse, not to your journal, not whispered in prayer if there's any chance it leaks. You take it to your grave. Because once it's out, you can't corral it. It burns everything in its path, and you're the one left holding the match. Let me pull this all together now, sitting here in the quiet of this December evening in 2025, with Christmas lights still blinking on a few farms down the road. I'm 76 years old, and I've watched good people destroy their peace with their own tongues. I've done it myself, over and over. I told my children my inheritance plans, and it planted entitlement and resentment that flowered into estrangement. I voiced shifting political views at the family table, and it carved permanent fault lines through holidays and relationships.
I shared health scares openly, and it turned me from patriarch to patient, from respected elder to object of pity and distance. I dug up stories of youthful rebellion, thinking honesty would bridge generations, and instead it gave ammunition to those who wanted to judge the old man I'd become. And worst of all, I betrayed my best friend's confidence, thinking marriage created an exception, and I lost the truest companion I'll ever have. These are wounds I can't heal, scars I can't hide, but they're lessons I can pass on. Most folks in this country talk too much. We live in an age of oversharing, social media, group texts, reality TV teaching us that vulnerability is virtue.
But out here where life is real and reputations are fragile, the opposite is true. The strongest people I know are the quiet ones, the ones who listen more than they speak, the ones whose word is rare but unbreakable. So practice silence, not the cold kind, but the wise kind. Guard your inheritance plans until the lawyer reads them. Keep your politics between you and the ballot box when company's mixed. Share health struggles only with those who can actually help. Doctors, close confidants, not the whole circle. Let your youthful mistakes stay in the past where they belong. And if someone honors you with their secret, lock it away like sacred ground. Your words are seeds. Once planted, you don't control where they grow or what they choke out. I'm Elias Hawthorne, just an old Iowa farmer with too many regrets, and hopefully a few years left to make amends where I can. The ones I've lost, Harlan especially, I'll carry until my own time comes. But maybe by sharing these hard-won truths, someone younger will sidestep the same pitfalls. Guard your words fiercely, guard your family fiercely, and when in doubt, let silence do the talking. Because out here under these endless skies, the quiet ones are the ones who endure.